Hey everyone, this is Derek, and this is section 1.2, and this is our second of 4 sections on functions. In this one, we're going to pick up y equals f of x, so that f of x notation that you might remember from a previous course. F of x is our kind of standard function notation. X, let me write this a little bit bigger just so I can point at it. So x is going to be our input value, or the independent variable. F is whatever is happening to x. So if this side said x plus 3, then the function rule, which is this f, is take the input, add 3. So that's what that f is standing for, is that rule that's saying add 3. And then the letter y, or f of x, represents the output or the dependent variable. So then we have these two things down here, f of a and then f of x equals a. So say I had, I'm just going to make up a number because I feel like the a makes it seem like something else is going on. Say I had f of 3. What that means is x equals 3. You're going to plug in a 3. So f of value means to evaluate the function at that value. In other words, you know x, you're going to go look for y. If I had f of x equals a value like a, again, I'm going to just say 3 to make it feel like a nice concrete number we can deal with. What that means is that y equals 3. So that means you know the output and you're going to go look for x. You're looking for the input. And this right here, that's what the rest of the section's about. And we're going to look at, I think, 4 versions of how to use this notation and interpret. Okay, so for this first one, the function f of x is graph below, so it's just these 3 dots. Rewrite the points on the graph in the table, and then also using function notation. So I'll just go left to right on these. Looks like for this one, when x is -4, y is 3. For this one, when x is -1, y is 5. And here when x is 2, y is -1. And then to write that as function notation, if I evaluate the function at -4, the output is 3, is how we would say this. So f of -4 equals 3. Here, f of -1 equals 5. When I put in -1, I get out 5. When I put in 2, f of 2, I get out -1. So that's what that will be looking for in terms of the typing as well. Same idea, it's just this time we're given a table. For this one, we'll be given a graph. And you'll see all 4 versions of this on the homework. And really, it's just the whole goal is just to kind of get you used to the notation. That here, you know x, we're going to look for y. So this is g, there's our function labeled g. G of 5, that means x is 5. So when x is 5, then the y, or g of 5, is 1, the output. And here, this is saying g of x equals 2. That's like saying the output is 2, and it's saying solve for the x. So solve when the output is 2, it looks like x would have been 4, would be our solution for that one. Number 3, we're given a graph, and we're asked to find kind of the same idea. So evaluate this function at -1, so find g of -1. That means we know x, and so right here, when x is -1, the output is 0. For part B, g of x equals -4, so that's like saying y equals -4. So we come down here to -4, it looks like that happens when x is -3. Determine x when f of x equals 0. So f of x equals 0. When you see f of x like that, you can think of that as when y equals 0. So where do the y's equal 0? That'd be right there on the x-axis. So that would happen when x equals, looks like -5 or -1. And then here, for what values of x does g of x, oh, that should have been a g of x right there. I'll have to correct that in the notes. For what values of x does g of x equal -3? Looking right here, there's -3. So it looks like at those 2 spots when x is -4 or -2. Same exact idea, except this time f of x is going to be an equation. So for part A, evaluate f of 4. So that just means any place that there's an x, we're going to substitute a 4. So we're letting x equal 4 and then seeing what happens. And before we got to just read it off a graph, now we have to actually do a little bit of work and see what it comes out. So when x is 4, we get negative 8 minus 7, or f of 4 equals negative 15. And then B is solve f of x equals negative 3. So if f of x equals negative 3, that's like putting a negative 3 on this side, so that equals negative 2x minus 7. And so we'll add the 7 on both sides. And that is 4 equals negative 2x. And then divide over the negative 2. And that would be negative 2 equals